Consulting, downtown Houston.
All right, guys. I think we're
3, 2, 1.
okay.
The backside of this thing. Uh-oh, my wife's on. We have to be on our best behavior.
Oh boy.
All right, guys. So here we are, 24 floors up, and pretty excited about this. Our first podcast, webcast, what have you. Here with Gary Dennis.
Hello?
With Unbiased Data, with Patrick Weir with D-Man Training.
How's it going?
And Jerry Moneygrowth with D-Man Training as well. And we're up in our office here in downtown Houston at the top floor.
24 floors
Sky
up,
high.
right by the Toyota Center.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to be up here, and it's our first time, so really looking forward to doing this regularly. We will need everybody's help to let us know what you guys want to see from us on a regular basis. We're hoping to see you guys here actually up on this floor with us as well. We're going to have an obligatory drink. Gary's going to have a separate beverage, and because he's
Cheers, coffee.
because he's like that. But so cheers, everybody.
Salud.
Salud. Slanja.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good. This is a great drink, and thanks to these guys, it was my birthday recently, so I just want to say thank you for that. It's a beautiful Scotch that they gave me, 10 years old. It's one of my favorites, the Glenmorangie, and believe it or not, for those who are not in the know, there are only 16 people that work in this distillery. That's the cool thing about it. That's it. Just 16 people there. They have hundreds of other distributors and representatives and stuff around the world, but at the actual distillery, there are only 16 people. But with that, let's talk a little bit about consulting. Guys, yeah.
Yeah, so we have several consulting firms here, well, 3. So we have Demand Training Technologies, which Jerry owns. It's a digital sales training consulting company. Patrick's leading the way with a digital selling conference that's coming up, and Demand Training and my consulting firm, Unbiased Data, we're both sponsoring that event. So it's going to be an exciting time. Right now, not only do we have the podcast going, but we have Facebook Live going from my professional page. We hope to have other pages here running as well, like Instagram, LinkedIn.
Don't worry, you Snapchatters. You're not far behind.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, Patrick's going to be running the Snapchat.
We're showing our age here.
Yeah, well, he looks best with bunny ears.
Yeah, he'll have bunny ears. He'll have a rabbit nose on him or something.
Yeah.
Probably sticking his tongue out like they do on Snapchat.
You brought up something that let's talk about it just for a few seconds, if you don't mind. Patrick is leading the way for the digital marketing conference or digital selling conference, and so I'd like to thank our sponsor, Digital Selling Conference, at this time. For those of you who are not in the know or not familiar with that, there's a conference coming up that focuses on this new trend of selling digitally. 3 of us combined probably have, let's not go how old, but we probably have 30, 40 years of experience combined in sales. And
I have one of those. I'm only like 22, 23, somewhere around there.
Some
the guy
might
with
say
so many white hairs in the beard.
some might say I have none at all.
Okay, but what we've all noticed is that sales is changing. There's a huge need for things out there, and for tools, transformation, and what have you with sales. And there's a lot of change going on. we saw that with marketing, with social media, and that's why we're doing what we're doing today, and that's translated into sales. So maybe you could talk a little bit about
Yeah,
that, Patrick.
thanks, Jerry.
Reposition this a little bit.
There's a lot of new trends that are changing the way things are done, business to business, business to customer, and it all comes back to the way that things used to be done: picking up a phone, calling, cold walking, knocking on doors. And a lot of disruptive technologies have come into play in the last few years, really. The way that people buy and the way that people sell is constantly changing. So the whole idea behind this conference, guys, is that there's sales professionals out there that have 30, 40 years of experience. There's people that have 2 or 3 years of experience. But they all have the same need. They all need to stay up with emerging trends. And as we know, technology changes in the blink of an eye. So that's kind of the driving force behind this event that we're putting together. And we're inviting all sales and marketing professionals to come out and learn about it. Learn about what the trends are right now, and before you know it, by the time the conference rolls around, there could be something else that has disrupted the way that we do things in the sales business. So that's kind of
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point. A lot of people know about digital marketing, but they don't really think about digital selling. So marketing is all about finding leads, and that I mean, it's very much needed. I mean, we've worked with different marketing departments in our sales career, but having that ability to use digital technologies to take it from the lead to actually bringing in an order is so crucial. And so I think the conference is a fantastic idea, and I look forward to attending and being a part of it. One of the reasons why Unbiased Data wanted to actually sponsor the conference is because Unbiased Data is all about helping our clients grow, whether that's growing in revenue or profits, and the way we do that is through data analytics and then our consulting team. But we're always looking for digital transformation and ways within that realm of digital transformation, whether that be digital technology, artificial intelligence, you name it, digital marketing, and of course, anything digital that can help streamline businesses as far as their costs go and increase revenue, improve profits. It's a way to differentiate themselves and basically operate more efficiently and effectively and better serve their clients.
Could you repeat that once again about digital transformation, what you just said, because you made a very good point right there. So I think it would benefit everybody if you just repeated that.
Yes.
What do you mean by digital transformation? What do you understand by that?
Well, I mean, you hear the phrase digital transformation thrown out quite a bit, and it means different things to different companies, but it's using innovative and trending technologies to transform your business. So some companies think about that as using digital marketing. Some think about it as, for instance, there's smart buildings that automate buildings. There's, of course, the digital selling side of things. I went to an event a couple weeks ago that was strictly focused on blockchain and how the blockchain technology is going to transform businesses. So there's a lot going on right now around technology. We're in Houston right now. You think about Houston, it's going to be a technology hub here in the next couple years. So I think with the conference coming up, the Digital Selling Conference, it's at the right time. It's going to be early 2019, and we're looking forward to being a part of it because it does fit into what's happening in the market right now related to digital technologies.
So, Patrick, maybe you could talk a little bit about that as well, digital transformation in terms of, I know you've been in many different industries, and you especially like the healthcare side.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe if you could talk a little bit about that digital transformation from healthcare and the pitfalls that may take place because of not going in the right direction, and the need for consulting. I mean, when you look at it, the reason why I ask you this is because when you look at it back in the early 2000s, when everybody was getting online. It was a big deal to get a website, and you had consultants charging people to create websites for thousands and thousands of dollars. And now for $30, you can go on Wix and get your own thing done. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of healthcare and how could you leverage the digital side of it?
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to address that. You and I have both been in healthcare for a number of years, and like you were talking about back in the 2000s, right? We're definitely aging ourselves there, aren't we?
Right. Yeah.
But we would go
good
back.
old days.
Well, I was only 10 years old back then. And
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cheers to that. We got our baby face assassin over here. But all joking aside, back in the 2000s, when you'd go into a doctor's office, Gary, you don't even have to have sold into that market to know that when you go get your annual physical for it, you might have seen behind the secretary's desk where you check in for your checkup, there's files and files and files of papers
Very good
that
point.
you would look at, and that's your personal health records, right? And to a certain extent, you still see that today, but the way that the nature of privacy goes, the level of service has changed. There's so many different things that have happened to the health space in particular, and I'm sure you might know from the manufacturing space that there's similar things going on to that. That it just, if you don't have it, you're well left behind. You're in the dust if you don't have some form of website or presence or a particular way to reach your customers, because your patients in this particular instance,
Right.
they're now you got to go find them at a different place because they're not where they used to be.
Right.
So there's a good reason for both on the customer side and on the B2B side for these businesses to come and learn about these different trends that are coming onto the market. Here today, gone tomorrow. We're talking about, we got an event in February. There could be something completely different for somebody to know now and then in 6 months. So I think there's a lot of exciting things coming on board right now for all sorts of industries.
When you said that, that really struck something really, really hard one of the things that you just said about the patients or the customers, and whether they're patients or the customers in any other industry, they're not where they used to be. Like having been in healthcare for a while, I can tell you many physicians, not just physicians, but practice managers and people running the clinics, they get upset with patients saying that, I saw on WebMD X, Y, and Z. Why aren't you doing that? In the same way, I think, the people on the other side, the physicians who are upset about it, physicians or practice managers or the administrative team, they should look at it saying, well, these patients are on WebMD, they're online. How do we get them to convert that over, the whole conversion process into, instead of just looking at WebMD and diagnosing themselves, how do we get them to come over and see real experts in the clinic as opposed to going online? So what you said really, really struck pretty hard over there.
Right, and it's some might see it as a problem, but it's a real opportunity
right
for
there.
these clinics, from small to these giant ACOs, which are giant organizations of 100 different physicians of all different types of specialties.
Right.
For them to, and there's a lot of leading ACOs that are out there that are really helping, grabbing onto some of these technologies, like healthcare informatics. And I think
Right.
you have a contact that is trying to build one of these businesses as such. So
Exactly.
maybe you can expand on that a little bit more and how that's helping them reach their.
Well, I think this ties into Gary's company as well, which is when you look at healthcare informatics, is basically data. You have all these data. What do you do with it? That's a big question out there. I have a good friend of mine. He runs a healthcare company. They're based out of just outside of Dallas. He lives in Austin, but he had told me, how do you make this data meaningful? well, you have all this information. What do you do with it? How do you make it meaningful? When I worked for one company, and you were there with me when we did this, we took those data points and put them together and developed a model that showed the end customer, in this case it was physicians, showing them how well we were able to transform their patients' lives. But ultimately, what was really important to them was the fact that how do we save them money?
Right.
So now, with the data points that your team is working with, I mean, what sort of transformation can you show with that?
Well, it's all about starting with the problem and then identifying the digital strategy. Versus a lot of companies, they look at the digital strategy first and then they try to find a problem to where it fits.
That's a good point.
So we got a couple. So not only do we have the YouTube Live, we actually have Facebook Live going here. Anybody on the Facebook channel have any questions about digital transformation? Maybe give a thumbs up if you're enjoying this so far.
We got one thumbs up there.
All right, we do have one thumbs up from Natasha.
Hey.
Hey, thank you.
All right, they must be just so absorbed in this digital.
You're just blown away by this, or what?
Transformation.
Speechless.
Hey, but when it goes, when it goes past the live, when it goes onto the taped version of it, I'm sure we'll get more comments and help us with further discussion next time. But let's talk a little bit more about unbiased data. What are you offering to your customers? One example that I wanted to actually pick up from you, talk about from you, is Gary, is competitive insights. You've worked with several people talking, you even worked with me talking about competitive insights. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've learned now, from the different people that you've worked with in that?
Absolutely. So the insight piece, I mean, every business that's in the market, they're competing against someone.
Definitely.
The insight piece is all about finding a way to do things differently. So I think it was Steve Jobs that at one point said, "Don't compete, be different." So those insights are what we were looking for during those initial interviews. And of course, now we've transformed into this more of a live streaming, live action type of scenario where people can comment and have more groups of consultants to be engaged. But yeah, it started with competitive insights. As far as unbiased data goes, we're looking for those insights with our clients, and the way we do that is by addressing the social side of strategy. So, for instance, if a client was working with a company, whether it be a product or service, and they weren't happy with that company, they're probably, in a lot of cases, just not going to talk to that company anymore. They're not going to have that frank, uncomfortable discussion with the company.
Oh, that's happened to me with various organizations I've worked with. I've worked with customers, and if something was not, the customer wasn't very happy, they just shut down, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other. If you went to a restaurant, you didn't have good service, you're probably not going to call the manager over to the table and say, "Look, guys, you probably need to really work on this if you want me to come back."
Right.
They're just going to go to a different restaurant.
Right.
And it's across the board like that in a lot of different industries. And so what we're doing is we're addressing that. So we're actually acting as a brand ambassador for our clients and meeting with their clients and helping them understand that, look, our client is trying to help better serve them, and what can they do differently? And so they're more likely to share, based on our research, share information with a third party than they are directly. It's like if my wife were to ask me what her dress looks like, while I think my wife is beautiful. Oh wait, my wife's on. I
was just gonna say, wait, red alert.
Yeah. I like
Buffs.
just so you know, I like all her dresses. But let's say she showed up in a neon green dress, which I'd probably like that one too. But let's say I didn't like it, I probably wouldn't tell her. I'd probably say, "Yeah, the dress looks good." And I think that's kind of part of man code to a certain degree. You don't say certain things in certain conditions.
Right.
And it's that way not only in our personal lives, but it's in professional lives as well. So I mean, we're all people at the end of the day, and it's difficult to have those kinds of difficult conversations. There's actually a radio station in Houston that they have a program called Second Date Update. where two people go on a date and one person never hears from the other person again. They try texting them, calling them, they never pick up. But then the radio station calls them and they tell everything to the radio station. So
I was just going to say that sounded like my dating life, but without the radio station. But yeah.
Yes, I think you were on one of those episodes.
Yeah, let's not. Okay.
Maybe I need to link up with Unbiased Dating. I think you could start an online dating division of your business.
Yeah, Patrick, are you looking for a date? I mean, we got perfect
Tonight? Oh, well, no, I'm busy tonight, but tomorrow, I don't know.
But so anyway, so even if the client does share that information, let's say the social side of strategy is completely gone and the client's like, sure, I'll share everything with you. They're going to share it with a frontline employee. And is that frontline employee, are they really going to share everything with their manager? And is that manager, if it's a reflection of a business unit or area of the business that isn't performing well, is that manager going to share it with his or her senior leadership? Probably not. So we're addressing the social side of strategy with data and with consulting. And that's probably a longer answer than you wanted to hear, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
No, that's still good. I know, and I appreciate that really helps out with better understanding what's going on over there. But what were you going to say, Patrick? I apologize.
Now, is this specific to one particular market that you can serve, or is this universal? That there's this issue of people, just like you said, the restaurant example. I think that was great. You might go to Yelp, but more often than not, people are just going to go, screw you, I'm out of here, never seeing me again.
It's happening. I mean, you think about some of the companies that you've worked with. I can name a few just through our personal life, different companies where we just chose not to work with again for this same reason. And then, of course, in my professional career, I've seen it with other companies as well. So it's across the board. It's a communication issue. It's not necessarily a vertical market issue. But with us, we have a team of roughly 10 consultants. They've been in the industry a long time. They all have master's degrees. So we're focused more on the B2B, business to business type clients. Now we recently launched our business, so we're not shutting the door on any type of business at this point. So we're open to interested companies, and we're willing to have the discussion with anybody that's interested. But right now we're focused more on business to business. But like I said, the door is open to have conversations about other opportunities. But we are seeing it across the board. Based on our market research, it's a very common trend. And you can find more about this particular topic around the social side of strategy in a book that McKinsey actually put out, McKinsey Consulting, on strategy beyond the hockey stick. And so they address more of the social side. Now we have more of a process to help with strategy that revolves around data. And we call it unbiased because it's unbiased data. If you collect it directly from the customer yourselves, it may be biased, as we talked about. And since we're collecting it as a third party, we're calling it unbiased. And it's a big part of data right now. You got to have unbiased data.
And I understand you have several channels that you can view your handy tips through. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So we're kind of operating in parallel. I do some personal things that are still business related. I have a personal page, GaryLDennis.com, where I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then we have a personal page for Unbiased Data. And so the professional page for Unbiased Data is more of a corporate focus, and then my personal page is more of a one-on-one focus, where whether you're a business owner or an executive in a business, or you're trying to start a business or grow a business, you can go to my personal page and get some free content around business strategy. So that's kind of it for the most part.
Well, I'm gonna.
That cheap plug brought to you by Glenmorangie 10-year Scotch.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. But real quickly, once again, I want to talk about the sponsor for our program today is the Digital Selling Conference. Right now, currently it's based here in Houston, and it's basically about the trends, the new trend of finding your customers where they are, which they're online. And the whole selling space has changed. You know, the company I work for is focused on sales training and as well as providing a marketing voice for the customers, brand imaging, that sort of thing. But our biggest focus is sales training. And the original go and knock on doors, somebody opens up and say, hey, you know, I'm Jerry, you know, will you buy a glass for me or whatever. That old model has changed, it's gone. We have to change with the times, just as we talked about earlier, moving from the, hey, thanks for the thumbs up, man. You know, when we talked about everybody started getting a website, how did that happen? And now people are going onto social media. It's moved from just having a platform to having digital marketing, and now finally moving into the actual selling. How do you close that? And that's what this is about. So please keep in mind that the first ever digital selling conference is happening here in Houston.
Galveston.
And yes, just outside of Houston. You're right
It's a
about that.
destination.
It's going to be a destination event, and it's going to be at a resort out in Galveston. We're still working out the details. I'll let Patrick talk a little bit more about that. Hold on a second. Here we go. Patrick, yeah. Here you go.
Right, so it's going to be the day after Valentine's Day. Yeah, come on down. Have a little love in Galveston. We're going to have a little love in with some digital selling on the 15th of February, tentatively.
That's trademark, by the way.
Yeah. Cheers. There's going to be some fantastic speakers, 10 speakers in fact, that we're gonna learn. We're gonna do a little bit of digital marketing too, because that's always important as well.
Because remember, we got to talk about the pipeline. You got to get your pipeline in order to get the sale.
And then we're gonna have some experts, some thought leaders on digital selling that will teach you how to, like Jerry said, let's close that sale and help you build your business and bring in more customers. There's going to be a breakfast that we're going to provide for you, and then we're going to have a keynote speaker. We're going to have a couple breakout sessions. We're going to have a lunch, and we're going to have another keynote speaker after that, followed by a cocktail reception where we allow people to network and share each other's success stories on certain digital selling topics. And I think it's going to be a great day. There's going to be a lot of learning, a lot of networking, and everybody's going to come away with a little bit more knowledge than they had.
Yep.
Gary, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just the website's...
Thanks, Patrick, by the way.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, absolutely. And the website's digitalsellingconference.com. And like Patrick said, it's going to be a destination in Galveston, so you can make a weekend out of it with your spouse or your girlfriend. Friends, whatever it is. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great topic, a lot of content. Like Patrick said, it's going to be 10 speakers, very, very high level, very good speakers. So it's going to be a really good time, and Unbiased Data is proud to be a part of the event.
Just as D-Man Training, we're also very proud to be a sponsor of the event, and we're looking forward to everybody coming in. And with that, I think we're getting close to shutting down. We're getting close to the 30-minute mark, so just wanted to take this time to say thanks to everybody, and thanks to D-Man Training, and thanks to Unbiased Data for joining in, and thanks for the Digital Selling Conference. We're looking forward to everybody joining us, so take care and have a good night.
Ciao. Thanks, guys.